compliance on injury prevention is such that it helps the outcome of the program. So if players are compliant, if the backroom staff and coaches buy into the idea of any one given protocol, it helps the outcomes. And we know that avoidance of injury is inversely proportional to success rate. So the lower the injury rate in a team, the better the team does. So if there's a program that can help a team drop down the rate of injury so that the players can spend more time on the field rather than off it, then compliance is a huge key factor for it to work. Africa, the landscape is mostly low resource, and so one of the major challenges we have are basic necessities such as power. So, and if you don't have power, then things like internet access is a luxury in some parts of Africa as well. So because we have a lot of resources on injury prevention online and people don't have access to it, and if you don't have access to it, there's no way you will know. So part of the educational drive is to make sure that you have up-to-date information about injury prevention and all other things that will help players protect their health and optimize their performances. So if you don't have access to those things, then it's a huge challenge. One of the other issues also is the language. Like for instance, we have the FIFA 11 Plus program in different international languages like Spanish, Portuguese, French. But I think that it's important that if we want to translate information to end users who necessarily don't have the education to understand the basic language it is in, then we may have to filter it down into local languages like Yoruba, Zulu, or Xhosa. One of the biggest things is that we need to have the right human resources in place who will push the vision of how things get done. Oftentimes with power, you find that it's high impact projects. It takes a lot of fund to put power in place. So if the government is a project that the government of a country needs to do. So if they buy into the idea of trying to go the developmental route and the government can buy into putting some of these basic resources in place or seeking partnerships from other countries who will be willing to put those things in place, then it will go a long way in alleviating such problems. Africa has so many local languages, and most of the protocols are usually standardly in English. Now, for instance, the FIFA 11 Plus is in other international languages like Spanish, French, and Portuguese. So if it is possible to have these programs translated into local languages, for instance, in Nigeria, you've got Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, which is the main local languages. And in South Africa, you have Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaans. If these programs can be translated into these local languages, it is easier to get to the end users of the population who are not exactly educated but still want to play football. The lack of internet accessibility and affordability in Africa creates a huge problem in terms of accessing information, and because a lot of people will think about what is really important for them to survive, they may choose the option that I don't really need the internet. So we may have to reverse back to previous ways before we had technological edges like the internet. Still have to have printed posters or videos and things like that that can show audiovisual support to be able to transmit this information. Yes, I think it's important that female players have other areas explored relating to injury prevention, because females have peculiar issues that would contribute to injury rates and things like that. So it's not essentially just musculoskeletal alone. So those areas need to be further explored so that we can help females better, because right now we see that the female participation in football is constantly increasing and it's going to continue to rise. Okay, compliance is one thing that we need to look at. What is the landscape we're working with? So for instance, I would reference Africa, which is where I am based. And in Africa, we need to look at the fact that we may need to provide certain things that are hard copies, that are audiovisual, that are translated into local languages. and we need to invest in the human resources and as well provide financial resources to push this vision to move ahead. Because one of the key things is that if there's no compliance, then there is no way that you will find the benefits of any injury prevention program. Injury prevention is so important in Africa because we don't really have access to most of the top skill that is required for injury management. And so it is important that we invest, because it's a lot cheaper to invest in injury prevention rather than wait for injuries to occur and then you start having to look for options of what to do. And oftentimes they are way more expensive because the person has to go abroad and then they give up on it because it's too financially incapacitating.